Is there ever a case where you'd recommend that someone do baby step 2 before baby step 1? Jack on Twitter. Baby step 1 is to save $1,000 in the bank. Baby step 2 is pay off all of your debt except your home, listing your debts smallest to largest. Jack, when I first started teaching Financial Peace University, that's what I did. There was no baby steps. When I first started, I just said, get your butt out of debt. Because the faster you're out of debt, the faster you build wealth. Get after it. Gut it out. But I kept having people in Financial Peace University have little things happen. $322 alternator goes out in their car. They blow a tire. It costs $100. Their kid gets sick, and it's $100 to go to the clinic. Little stuff happen. Little emergencies happen while people were broke and trying to get out of debt. And they're going to fix their car. I mean, they're going to fix the alternator. They're going to put the tire on the car. They're going to pay the clinic to take their kid, right? They're going to do the emergencies, legitimate small emergencies. And when they did those, they emotionally couldn't recover and get started again on the debt snowball. Believe it or not, what the $1,000 actually does as your baby step 1, more than actually giving you a real financial pad between you and bad luck, bad problems, bad Murphy while you're getting out of debt, is more than anything, it gives you a little bit of emotional margin. Because $1,000 doesn't cover that many things. I mean, if your transmission goes out, that's $2,500, right? If your engine blows up in your car, that's $3,000 minimum, you know, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, $1,000 doesn't cover that. If you get laid off work, you know, it's what, I mean, how much does $1,000 cover? Not much. So it just covers the little stuff that happens while you're learning to budget at the first start of your Financial Peace program. As you just start, you know, the 9 weeks of courses, right? The 9-week course, and you start going to the lessons, and, you know, you're doing the Total Money Makeover book, and you're really doing your every dollar budget. And as you get started doing that, I don't want little things to knock you off the track you're on to change your life. And that's what $1,000 does. It really, from a practical mathematical level, is not enough. Obviously, it's not enough. We didn't intend for it to be enough. We want you to get out of debt. But we did put that one little bit of savings in there because it keeps folks on track if they can fix their alternator, stop their debt snowball a minute, put their $322 back in there. So I got $1,000 in there again, and I got a little bit of pad between me and life. And I'll tell you what else it does, Jack. You wouldn't believe the number of times I have had people come to me after a Financial Peace class with tears in their eyes and say, I work hard, I make good money, I have never had $1,000. For 10 years, all my money comes in, all my money goes out. For 7 years, for 14 years, all my money comes in. I've just been paying bills. I've been a rat in a wheel, and finally I have $1,000 in my hand that is mine. And you'd be amazed. These are people sometimes with a master's degree, and they're standing there with tears running down their face going, I have $1,000. And what does that mean? That means that they have a sense that they're winning with money for the first time. Why? Because they're winning with money for the first time. It is truly a baby step. But it shows you that you're getting traction. It shows you, I can do this. It tells you, I think this is going to work. I believe we can do this. And there's so much encouragement comes from that one little act of, in the first month, most people do it. If they don't have any money at all, in the first month, they can usually, with a garage sale, an extra job, and scratching the nickels out of the couch, can come up with $1,000 and get their plan started. And they go, wow, for the first time ever, I have $1,000 sitting here. I'm not going to touch it for anything. It's just for emergencies. But wow, I really did it. So there's that encouragement as well as the emotional margin that it gives you in case something small happens, as well as number 3, you don't get knocked off the wagon and never get back on by something as silly as a blown tire. Because you've got a way to handle that and a process here, a clear path out. And that was how the baby steps started being developed, was actually at baby step 1 and 2. I just used to have the debt snowball. So people get out of debt, get out of debt, get out of debt. Now, I had the debt snowball from the first time I started because I figured that part out early in the process. But the baby steps were not even in the first Financial Peace book. They were added in later chapters as we edited. and added this stuff to the Financial Peace book. As we added to the course, the baby steps were not the clear path that we used in the early days. We just said, hey, don't buy whole life insurance. Get out of debt. Don't lease your stupid car. Get on a budget. Here's how you buy real estate, a 15-year mortgage, not a 30-year mortgage. And, we were just teaching you how to handle money like we still do in Financial Peace, but we weren't the clear path of the baby steps. And I've become militant about sticking to that. You can tell here on the air. Why? Because it's given so many millions of families the encouragement and therefore the power to actually go and win. And then they go win. So that's why I don't put baby step 2 before baby step 1, because I used to make that mistake. And baby step 1 is valuable, even though it's very small, just $1,000. It's valuable for those reasons. It's an interesting thing to think about. Why does this stuff work so well that we do here? Because it's the law of large numbers. When you have this much data and you've been doing it this long and helped this many people, believe me, the stuff that wasn't working, we've already shined it out. We've already polished it. We've already adjusted it. We've already shifted it. This is not our first ride on this cabbage truck, darling. Natalie is with us in Baltimore. Hi, Natalie. How are you?
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Well, I was just tuning into your show not too long ago, and you were speaking about life insurance and how whole life is absolute junk.
Mm-hmm.
I never understood how or why that is necessary or true.
Okay.
I believed that whole life was better, and I started out seeking whole life, and so I ended up buying a policy for each of my 3 kids, and I have a universal policy for my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And the policies I have for my 3 kids, one is it's called a 10-pay, where you pay it for 10 years and it's paid up.
Yep.
And so I did that with my oldest daughter, and she has a policy. It's only $15,000 or $20,000 for her.
Yeah. It's a standard kid policy. Yeah. The reason you believe this is what you've been sold. Okay. But let's walk through it for a minute. Okay. There's 2 kinds of insurance, as you mentioned. There's cash value insurance and there's term insurance. All right. Term insurance on average runs about 1/20th the cost of whole life or cash value insurance. In other words, you could have bought that same policy. Instead of spending $100, you'd buy a month or whatever it was. Let's use $100 to be an example. Then you'd spend $5 a month. So what does the extra $95 that you're going to, what does it go to? Okay. Well, it goes to build up a savings account inside the policy called cash value. Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes.
And that's why you bought it, because you thought, hey, it builds up a cash value. That's awesome. All right. And here's the thing. The problem is not that. The problem is that the rules or the guidelines that what happens to the money in the savings account. On average, it's making about 1 to 1.5%. Horrible rate of return. Number 1. Number 2, if you want your money out of the policy, you either have to cancel the policy or you have to borrow your own money. Now, you put the money in there. You put the money in there, but when you take it out on a loan, you pay them interest to borrow your money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
You wouldn't take money out of a savings account and borrow it from the bank, and give them interest to borrow your own money back. Not if you're smart, anyway. And then, but the worst part of, the fees are really high. The cash value doesn't build up for many, many years, but after 2 or 3 years, finally it does start building up. So it's really heavy loaded fees on the front end. And then the worst part, though, is this. You got a $15,000 policy on this kid. What's the cash value in one of those? As an example.
Oh,
I'm sorry?
I don't even know what the cash value on any of them are.
I'll give you a guess. Let's say it's $5,000. If you close the policy, that they'd get $5,000. All right, and we've just established that you've paid extra for that $5,000 to be in that policy. So you have a savings account inside that policy, right?
Right.
You paid a lot more for these policies than you would have for the same amount of term insurance. A lot more. Now, so that $5,000 that's in there, it's your money. The problem is this. If the person that the insurance is on dies, they don't pay the $15,000 insurance plus your savings. They pay the $15,000 insurance. What happened to your savings?
Oh.
It's gone.
Oh.
And the only way you get
the
only way you have a prepaid insurance policy, or the only way you have a 10-pay policy is that's not paid up. It just means prepaid. Because here's the deal. If you're an insurance company and you are issuing life insurance, as long as that person is alive or as long as that policy is in force, there is a cost to cover them because there is a statistical probability of their death. That after 10 years, the statistical probability of that person's death did not go away, right? So they still have a cost associated with keeping that policy on the books, even though you've already got it paid up. But all you did was just prepay it. So you double paid and triple paid to pay in advance for many years to come. And that's how it gets paid up. That's the only way there's no such thing as paid up insurance. It just means prepaid. Now they call it paid up because that's the phrase they want to use. So what would I do if I were in your shoes? Well, if the people need life insurance, let's get life insurance on them. Make sure the life insurance is there, and then I would close these policies. And now if they're ill and can't get life insurance, then you're stuck. And, they're stuck in the policy because their health situation doesn't allow them to change because they've lost their health since they got the policy. But if they have a need for life insurance and can get life insurance, then buy the life insurance to replace it and then cancel this stuff and put your investments in something else that when you die, they don't keep your money. So you just don't want to go there. It's just a really, really bad place. So that's why it's just inordinately expensive. It is one of the worst financial products on the market today. The car lease, the whole life insurance policy, and the credit card are the three things that are keeping the middle class in the middle. And people they're just getting messed over. I mean, when you crunch the numbers on any one of the three of those things, it makes you go ballistic about how bad they are, about how rough the consumer is being treated in every one of those situations. So I stay away from it. I would only suggest, and for 25 years here on the radio, I've only suggested term life insurance. And I've never suggested anyone lease a car, and I've never suggested someone get a credit card. Because they hold you back, causes you to not win. I want you to win. Now, obviously, the people in those industries don't like me. Oh, well, I'll have to live with that. Oh, darn. Really wasn't signing up to take a poll here anyway. We're just here helping folk. And if who else doesn't like me? Well, that'd be the title pawning people and the rip-off payday loan people, because I tell people they're the scum of the earth. I mean, not only are you ripping people off, but you're ripping poor people off. I mean, because that's who does title. You notice that payday lending is not the rich end of town, right? Well, they don't need it over there. No, they're too dadgum smart to do it. That's why they're rich. Hello. So if you just keep doing stupid poor people stuff, you'll stay stupid and poor. I mean, hey, I've been there. I know what it looks like. I did stupid, and I've done poor. I know what it looks like. Actually, I've never been poor. I've been broke. Poor is a state of mind. But I'm not going to live like that. And I'm not going to continue to make the same mistakes over and over and over again, then scratch my head and wonder why I'm still broke. So you've got to make decisions on how you're going to live and look around and say, okay, this is what wealthy people are doing. Let's do wealthy people stuff. And, there's a few wealthy people my whole life because they get sold the crap too, but not very many. Most of us, I got to tell you, in the financial advising world, in the financial coaching world, the financial counseling world, I don't know anybody that recommends cash value insurance except people who sell it. I can't find them. There's no outside people that don't have a conflict of interest looking at it like me and going, no, Dave, you're wrong. You can't add. No, I can add. You keep somebody's money after they save it for 20 years at death. There's no way that's a good return on investment. It's just bad. And that's what this whole situation comes down to. So those of you that don't like it, You don't like me? Oh, well, I think I'll be able to live with that. This is the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button to get the latest content and check out these other great clips from the show.
You can do this. You know, that really is the message. Whether you've got $270,000 in student loan debt or $27,000, whether you've got a $50,000 income or a $500,000 income. Thank you for joining us. We're glad you're here. You know, there's two things when I talk about investing to people that they say. They say, well, nobody can beat the market. I'm just going to invest in index funds. I read a book and I read an article on the internet. Well, everything on the internet is true. Abraham Lincoln said that. Think about it. It'll come to you later. The other is that people say, well, you can't beat the market, and investing's too complicated. I mean, investing is intimidating. Investment people are intimidating. I feel 2 inches tall when I talk about investing. It's intimidating. Well, the second one is true. It is intimidating, but it shouldn't be. It's really not that complicated. And when you sit down with someone that actually knows what the flip they're doing, they can help you put the cookies on a shelf where you can reach them. That's called a teacher. And you understand about mutual funds, and you understand about the track record on a mutual fund, and that's how I started investing many years ago. Now, I know there's a lot of people that have opinions about my investment advice, but I do have millions and millions of dollars in mutual funds. I wonder how that got there. It must have been that I understood something about that. That money just didn't appear there. I haven't hit the lottery. I was bankrupt at 28 years old. I'm 57. So what happened during that 30-year period of time? Well, I used the investment principles that I talk about here on the air. I don't tell you to do something and then go do something different. I do what I tell you to do. Oh, and by the way, it worked for me and lots of others. Lots of millionaires calling in on the Millionaire Theme Hour say, Dave, I got out of debt. I loaded up my 401k with the 4 types of mutual funds. I loaded up my Roth IRA with the 4 types of mutual funds. And here I am 20 years later, and I'm a millionaire. Thank you. I get that all the time. So apparently the stuff we're teaching works. And it's not that complicated. And my mutual fund groupings have beat the market. You just pick mutual funds that have outperformed the S&P. It's really not rocket science. Not all of them have outperformed the S&P. A lot of them haven't. Over half haven't. But don't pick one that didn't. You would be better to do that. But, I mean, you know, it's like some of you sitting at the racetrack and you're going to bet on horses. I don't bet on horses just because I don't know anything about it, and I don't gamble because I don't like losing money. I work too hard for it. So, but if you're sitting, I went to a dog track one time or a horse track one time when I was a youngster, and they tell you, you know, this horse has not won a race ever. So bet on that one, stupid. You know, this horse won the last 3 races. Well, I probably might bet on him. You know, that's all you're doing when you're picking a mutual fund. Did it beat the market? If it didn't beat the market, then don't pick that mutual fund. That's not rocket science. That horse hadn't won a race. Don't bet on that horse. Why is this hard? It's not hard. And this idea that you have to do what's called passive investing and surrender and say, oh, well, you really can't beat the S&P. Dave Ramsey doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, I don't know. I mean, I pulled up my stuff the other day and looked at it. Let's see here. I think I got it written down here. Just because I don't have it all memorized. Let's see here. The mutual funds I'm personally invested in, the 4 types I talk about over the last 40 years, have averaged 13.04%. You can't get 12% on your money. I know. I got 13, okay? And the S&P during that time averaged 11.81%, which is real close to 12, stupid people. 30-year, my investments have averaged 11.3. The S&P's averaged 10.89. So I've outperformed the S&P on the 30 and on the 40. Outperformed the S&P on the 20. On the 10-year, outperformed the S&P. Huh. Go figure. So how did I do that? I picked 4 mutual funds that outperformed the S&P. I pick horses that win the race. I mean, you look down at the track record, and it's got a little chart in there. It's got the S&P 1 line, and if your mutual fund you're looking at's line's not above the S&P line on the chart, you're looking at the wrong one. Pick you another one. Why would you bet on a horse that hadn't won a race? This is really not rocket surgery, people. I mean, think about it. It'll come to you. Wow. So how you do this? Well, you sit down with somebody who knows what they're doing, and they teach you about mutual funds, and that's how we came up with the whole SmartVestor Pro idea. We put that in place to help people that don't have a lot of money and don't know anything about it and are intimidated. But then along comes the internet and lies to you, and you can't do that. Oh, really? Okay. Well, maybe you can't, but I can. And I have, and it's resulted in millions and millions and millions of dollars. Lots of millions, by the way. It's worked out good. I'm having a good time, y'all. Life is good. So, if you're ready to do this, and you want to sit down with someone to help look at your financial picture and help you do your investing, you're at baby step 4. You're ready to get started. You want to be a millionaire. You want to live like no one else so later you can live and give like no one else so you can retire with dignity and not have to buy that cookbook, 72 Ways to Prepare Alpo, and love it. You know, people that retire wealthy, it wasn't an accident. They didn't get to wealth, they get to retirement and go, how'd that happen? Where'd that come from? They're not surprised. They know exactly where that money came from. It was an intentional act year after year, month after month, paycheck after paycheck, being deducted into their 401k, into their Roth IRA, into good mutual funds, year after year after year after year after year after year. It's just not sexy. It's not a fish story to tell on the golf course. It's just the tortoise. He just keeps walking. He's ugly. Just keeps walking. He's ugly. And nobody notices him. But that's how you become a millionaire. That's what all the data points tell us. So, go to DaveRamsey.com, click on SmartVestor. I'm not in the investing business. I don't give a rip if you invest or not. I'm here to teach you. But I am getting a little bit sick and tired of the trolls out there bumping around the internet talking about how stupid Dave Ramsey's investment advice is when my net worth is tens of millions of dollars, so I must be doing something right other than just selling books. Yeah, I sold a lot of books, and that's where some of that came from, for sure. But most of it came from investing, you guys, in real estate that I paid cash for and in good mutual funds. See, if you put money in at the bottom of the market when the market was, what, 6,900, 6,400, whatever it was at the bottom after the crash, the big crash of 2008, you remember when the world came to an end? If you put money in there, and what's the Dow today? 24,000. What is 6,000 to 24,000? Is that 4 times? You guys that are quick with your second grade math, is that 4 times? So if you put in $1 million at the bottom, what would you have now? $4 million. This is not hard. But the stock market, see, you've got to learn, people. You've got to learn what's really going on out there in the real estate world and in the investing world if you want to have any money. The CD is not going to get you there. It's a certificate of depression. It's paying less than 1% in most cases. If you got a really good one, it's 1.5. Zippy. So, click SmartVestor at DaveRamsey.com. Put in your information. It'll drop down a list of the SmartVestor pros, the people we recommend in your area. They'll sit down with the heart of a teacher and calmly show you mutual funds that outperform the market. And they'll uncomplicate this supposedly complicated process where you understand it. And when you understand it, that only then do you do your investing. Don't do it because I said so. Only then. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Dylan is in Bowling Green. Hi, Dylan. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hello, Dave. How are you today?
Better than I deserve, sir. What's up?
Yes, sir. I was wanting to know, like, the quickest steps of how to get out of debt.
Okay. Well, what we suggest folks do, how much debt have you got?
Roughly around $13,000.
Okay. And what is your income?
$23,000 a year.
Okay. How old are you?
19.
Oh, wow. What do you do?
I work at a car wash.
Okay. What are your career plans?
For so far, I was taking college, but after my first semester, I actually wanted to go into real estate.
Okay, so you're getting your real estate license?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Very cool. All right. Well, I mean, there's kind of two numbers, Dylan, that we look at, and we call it the shovel to hole ratio. And the shovel is your income versus the hole is your outgo, your what you're spending to eat, and then how much debt you have. Okay, so you have $13,000 hole that you're in. What do you owe that money on?
$10,000 of it is for auto loans, and $1,600 of it is for a credit line loan, and then the other $1,500 to $2,000 for another auto loan.
Okay, all right. So why do you have two car loans?
I had a car loan that was in 25.9% interest, and they was charging me too much, so I let it go back, and then I ended up getting in another car loan here recently.
Okay. Why? Did you not have a car at all?
Yes, sir, I didn't have a car at all, and they was trying to charge me. They was charging me like 3 times as much as what the car was worth, and I couldn't afford it.
Gotcha. Okay. And so you said you're making how much money?
Roughly, I make around $450 a week.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And
that's $23,000 a year.
Okay. All right. And and you think you said you're 19.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, what I would suggest you do is let's just increase your income by increasing your hours doing something, and get these debts cleaned up as fast as possible. As you already know, real estate is straight commission, and at your age, it's going to be a little tougher because it's going to be tough to talk some 45-year-old into buying a house from a 19-year-old. It can be done. I did it. I had a real estate license when I turned 18, and I sold my first house when I was 18 years old. So you can do that. It can happen, but it's harder to have credibility with folks on a purchase of that size when you're younger. Again, I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying that is a challenge you're going to have to overcome. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so it's going to be your level of maturity, how you dress, how you carry yourself, the words you use, the habits you avoid. You don't smoke in front of clients. You don't go in there, dressed crazy. You dress conservatively. The type of car you drive, all of that you're going to have to be mature beyond your years to have credibility. And I did do that when I was your age, selling real estate. So it can be done. And so you're choosing that instead of college. What were you studying in college?
I was going to do sociology.
Mm-hmm.
Being like a service, not like I forgot how to social worker and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what was drawing you to that?
I really like kids, and I've been through a lot myself as a child, and I know what it's like for young ones to go through those kind of things.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I just want to change the world, you know, and just do better things for the world.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, I think that might be a good ministry for you at your local church to work with kids, maybe in foster programs and stuff like that. There'd be a lot of ways you could be a big brother, in a sense, to those guys as a ministry. As far as your career goes, I like what you're doing. I want to help you out with that. I'm going to send you through our class on how to handle money, Financial Peace University. Have you heard us talk about that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you like to go through for free?
Yes, sir.
All right. You hold on. We'll get you signed up for that. And that can give you a framework for making some of these decisions. So very, very well done. Good job.